Hi everyone, Crazy Keto Guy here. Um, I was thinking about doing a video talking about the foods that I eat whilst I'm on a ketogenic diet. And funny enough, somebody's asked me that question in a private DM. So even though this wasn't planned to be done today, I've decided to do it. So quickly, because I don't want to make this video too long and take up everyone's time. Because this is going to go on YouTube, can I just say please subscribe below? There is a little bell if you want to be alerted to any new videos. Please feel free to like and share the video. So when you go onto a ketogenic diet, you have to have a totally different mindset on what basically makes up your diet. Um, if you look into the research, it says for the last 60 years, we've kind of been driven down this very high carb, low fat diet, and you're almost resetting, flippy flopping the equation around. If you imagine a plate, dinner plate, and that's 100%. Traditionally, probably 60 to 70% of that plate would be filled with carbs. Then you've got a mixture of protein and fat. It's the complete opposite, really, for the ketogenic diet, in as much as we're looking for sort of 75 to 80% fat, we're looking for 15 to 20% protein, and 5% carbs. It is really the carbs, the processed carbs and the processed sugars that we need to eliminate from our diet. They cause a lot of problems, and it's just really a matter of a re-education on what carbs do to the body. Which I'm not really going to delve massively into the science bit, because I say this is more about just talking about the food. So I'm a strong believer in doing your macros. There's a lot of free online calculators where you enter things like your sex, your age, your weight, your level of activity, and it will basically give you a breakdown of your macros or your micronutrients. So how much fat you should be taking in the day, how many grams of fat, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, and ultimately also how many calories. Now, you can tweak these. I find there's not really a one size fits all, and you have to play around with them a little bit. And if your goal is mainly to lose weight, you probably have to just keep an eye on the calories. A slight deficit isn't going to hurt if you bring down the calories slightly. Obviously, be very cautious of your carbs. If you're doing something like a ketogenic diet as opposed to just a low carb diet, then you really are trying to keep that to 20 grams of carbs a day or less. And as I say, protein and fat. Anyway, so you do your macros. Now, sometimes you'll find it hard to track your macros, because if you're cooking fresh stuff a lot of the time, which I try and do, I don't want to be eating processed food. So a lot of the time I'm cooking food, and sometimes it's hard to work out the exact, sort of macros. You can either use an app, which will track, and that's quite good. Even though I've never used them, I hear that they are quite accurate, and certain things you can barcode scan them, and again it sort of goes in. But basically, I periodically, might be the wrong word, I randomly, I prefer that one, check my macros on particular days, and every time I've ever checked my macros, they've always been pretty spot on. So anyway, when I first tried to do a ketogenic diet, which was 2 other occasions prior, can I just say I did make the mistake of thinking I was doing some sort of keto plus diet by eating really low fat. I was thinking, well, that's got to be even healthier. I'm not eating fat. That is totally the wrong way, and I failed both times. After 6 weeks, I crashed off twice as hard, and the fat is important, and getting your body fat adapted so that it's not relying on carbs, and it's going to burn that stored fat that you have, and obviously that is one of the ways we end up with weight loss. So as I say, do your macros, have a very clear mindset that your 100% plate is now 75–80% fat, 20 to 25% protein, and just 5% of carbs. And again, try and make them good carbs. You've got bad carbs and good carbs is how I look at it. Bad carbs are the ones that we're cutting out, which is your bread, your potatoes, your rice, your pasta, things like biscuits, cakes, sweets. That's all going to have, as I say, the sugars, the carbs that you don't want. So go for your more like green leaf vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, things like mushrooms. You've got to be careful with these and get the weights right. There are loads of things online that will show you the amount of carbs that are in particular things, everything from your vegetables, your fruit, and everything in between. Again, a mistake is as simple as not realizing that in an apple there can be over 21 grams of carbs. That's not even a big apple. That's just a normal medium-sized apple. 21 grams of carbs. So if you're doing ketogenic, your apple has done your whole carbs for the day. Likewise with the fats, you're trying to fill them with good fats. We don't want to be doing trans fats or, you know, some of the, again, you can Google this, but things like coconut oil are good. Things like avocado oil and avocados just in general, you know, grass-fed cow butter like Kerrygold is my go-to if I want to eat butter. So, you know, there's a lot of really good stuff. You can be eating oily fish, great in omega fatty acids. You can be eating good cuts of meat. So there's even though you're sitting there thinking, oh, 75–80% of fat, that can't be good for me. You're trying to fill that with as much good fat as you can. Okay, fast forwarding on. There are some supplements that I would suggest people look into. I'm not saying you have to take them, but in particular, electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, sodium. So some of those electrolyte things are quite important to keep the electrolyte balance in your body correct. You're going to be drinking a lot of water. It's very important to stay hydrated. So you're drinking a lot of water, and keeping your electrolyte balance correct is important. MCT oil, so that's like a refined coconut oil. It's one of the things that contributes towards making the ketones in your body, the creation of ketones in your liver. Another thing that is important in that creation is a thing called carnitine. Now, some of us can be carnitine deficient. I personally take a carnitine supplement, and just recently I've started taking a fairly high strength carnitine liquid supplement. You have to be careful with the dosage. One of the big reasons why you have to be careful is it can also give you a bit of a dicky tummy and you'll run into the toilet. Now that might be a good thing for weight loss, but it's probably not what you want to be doing, and you're probably flushing out a lot of the nutrients that you're trying to take in. But L-carnitine is important, and MCT oil is important. I would also suggest that you get an MCT oil that has as close to 100% C8 as opposed to those that have C8, C10, some of them even C11, C12. The one that's easiest for the body, the liver, to absorb and to then convert is C8. So a good MCT oil. Right, on to the food bit. So the first thing is, if we talk about breakfast, I think if you looked at most people that are on a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet, everyone's eating bacon and egg. Now I can tell you the first couple of weeks of eating bacon and egg in the morning was a lovely thing. When you're 21 weeks in like I am, it starts to get a bit monotonous and you need a little bit of variety. So you definitely want options. You want to be mixing it up. I eat a lot of fish, so I was very pleased that I can include mackerel, I can include salmon, I can include any of the oily fishes, sardines. They make a good alternative in the morning. back to the bacon and egg. You can mix it up. So with eggs, you can obviously have them scrambled, poached, fried, even boiled if you wanted to. I have streaky bacon. Again, when I looked at the nutritional breakdown, the macros, I just found that streaky bacon was my better option. So bacon and egg. You do have to be careful. Some people will go, well, sausage. I love a sausage, and I still have sausages. If you're looking for super clean keto, a lot of people are hesitant with sausages because of certain things that are inside of a sausage. But again, just look at the nutritional breakdown, look at the ingredients. Marks and Spencer's, for example, do a 97% pork sausage, so it's got very little like other stuff going on inside there. But again, super clean keto people would tell you that it's not keto. I also like to add guacamole to my breakfast because that gives me, again, a nice boost of natural good fats. I haven't really found any other alternatives for breakfast yet, but obviously always looking. And again, just Google keto breakfast and see what comes up. Basically, keto really was my friend. That, along with YouTube and people like Thomas the Lawyer, another one I would reference that people go and watch his videos. That's Thomas the Lawyer, which is DELAUER. I was actually writing it then, weren't I? Amazing guy, lived the keto life. Lost 100 pounds. He's been doing keto 10 years, but he went from 286 to 186 of just pure beefcake, a bit of a man crush. He's now on the front cover of every fitness magazine that exists and just knows his keto inside out. So I'm mainly, even though I do intermittent fasting, so my days are a little bit sort of like there's a schedule that I follow. I don't really want to get into the intermittent fasting, but it does mean that on some days I eat 3 meals, on other days I only eat 2, and on some days I do what they call OMAD, 1 meal a day, and only eat the 1 meal, even though I still try and adhere to my macros, and I still try and get in the calorific value of what I'm allowed each day. So again, let's go evening meal. So when I started, and still do, I batch cook things like chili con carne, chicken curry, beef goulash, spaghetti, not spaghetti bolognese, whoops, nearly, carbs, but the bolognese part, I batch cook those, again, all high quality meats as best as I can, organic whenever I can. And again, you can control obviously what's going in there. You can control the oils that you're cooking in. You can add herbs and spices accordingly. Be wary of like jars of chili con carne, because inevitably, again, when you start to read the ingredients, you realize there are so many artificial things inside of them, and oils that are used. You're just wasting your time basically. So you can batch cook a load of good stuff. Again, fish comes in, both the lean end of fish where I'll eat cod loin, smoked haddock, salmon, trout, that kind of fish, or again back to the sort of like more oilier options with mackerel and well, sort of tuna's in the middle, I guess. So, and those kind of fishes. Chicken is a definite go-to for me. I also love liver. So a great keto dish would be liver bacon with some nice onions. Again, you've got to be slightly wary of the gravy, depending how clean keto you want to go. But again, I do use gravy. I am probably the bad boy of keto, and certainly don't mind a little bit of dirty keto thrown in. I think, just quickly on dirty keto, I think you do need an element of enjoyment. So I don't think you can totally, rule out everything. I think you just end up, crashing off of diets if you're that deprived of any kind of enjoyment. I'm just trying to think if I've forgot anything, but yeah, so certainly chicken. I eat a lot of steak. I like ribeye steak because it's got an higher element of fat in it. I guess if I was trying to be a little bit more leaner, um, I would probably go for fillet, but at the moment, ribeye ticks the right boxes. Vegetable wise, again, broccoli, spinach, cauliflower. I do like making stir fries, and I will use things like pak choy. Um, there is a couple of things I probably put in my stir fry that again just bump the level of carbs, but I still think I'm pretty good at getting inside the 20 grams of carbs every day. Oh, what have I forgot? What have I forgot? I know for a fact that I'll stop this and go, oh, I didn't mention. Um, I do have bone broth occasionally, which is very high in collagen, which is good. I sometimes use, for example, the chicken po um, uh, bone broth that's made by Borough Broth, I think they're called. Borough Broth, yeah, that sounds right. They do this chicken po, and that's very nice for making like an Asian stir fry. I usually make salmon and king prawns, pak choy, a few other little bits for the stir fry, and then add in the po. That's always quite nice. They are quite expensive. That's one of the things you're going to find with trying to eat healthier, that for some reason they try and make it as expensive as possible for us humans, us mere mortals, to actually eat healthier. You can make your own bone broth, not something I've personally done, but something that I know some people are doing, and obviously it works out a lot more cheaper. I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I'll have chocolate. I have 85% Lindt chocolate, little name drop. I find that my comfort zone. Any chocolates like higher in cocoa normally have a bit of an adverse effect on me, or not very nice. And of course, the lower you go, then the more carb rich they become, and sugar. So yeah, 85% Lindt chocolate. As a dessert, I also like mixed berries. That's strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries with a big dollop of cream. Um, you can add cream into your coffee, which is something else I do on occasion, not every day, and not certainly every cup of coffee. Some people promote this almost unlimited amount of cream idea. Trust me, cream has a lot of calories in it. 100 milliliters is around 500 calories. Now, I spoke to somebody who was drinking 7 coffees a day and putting roughly 100 milliliters in each cup. So that was 3,500 calories before she even started. So yeah, you've still got to account for calories. You know, there's no cheat mode that says unlimited calories, unlimited cream. You know, I think that's one of the mistakes people make when they first go on the ketogenic diet as well, is just thinking that, oh, I can have 80% fat, and just, you know, are filling themselves with all of the wrong fats and thinking that it's like an unlimited buffet. It is not. And anyone who tells you that probably don't want to listen too much more to what they say. So yeah, the berries and cream is a very nice option. I am at the moment going through a stage of experimenting, trying out some things. I've just found a bread called High Low, and they sell it in Sainsbury's for anyone who's interested, and it's 5 grams of carbs per slice. And I'm also about to order some stuff from 2 German companies. I'm going to mention their names, not because I get any kind of endorsement, but just in case people want to look them up. So the first German company is called Lizza, Lizza, and the second company is called Dr. Almond. So if you Google them, they're both on Facebook. That's where I found them. They're 2 German companies, and they do both the mixes and they do some ready-made stuff. It is, again, without question, costly to order from them. It would undoubtedly be cheaper to make it yourself. So if you're a bit of a baker, then you know, there are recipes out there that you can find to do that. So I think that is basically it. I've gone just over 20 minutes. I'd hoped to make it slightly smaller. Um, but yeah, just use Google, use YouTube. Don't be afraid to ask, you know, because my biggest buzz is sharing my experience. I'm not a doctor, not a scientist, not a nutritionist, not a health and fitness guy. I'm a fat 52-year-old who for 52 years has built up the biggest belly ever. Well, maybe not, um, but how differently I feel now, how it's helped me to conquer finally my diabetes, how it's helped me reduce my diabetic medication, and just as I say, how I feel. I want to share that with people. So yeah, if anyone's got any follow-up questions, if I've whizzed through this way too fast, just ask away. Um, yeah, comment below. Much love from Crazy Keto Guy.